Hello, wine lovers. It's good wine gal Barb Wild here in Okanagan Valley with the lovely Séverine Pinte, who is a fabulous winemaker. If you are not familiar with Séverine, she is the executive winemaker and viticulturist at Le Vieux Pin on the Black Sage Bench and LaStella Winery in Vesuvius. So welcome, Severine. It's really great to see you.
Hi, thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
having
joining
me.
us. Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to read something. I know reading is kind of boring, but I really want to share with everyone your story because it is a decade or two, yes, and it's quite formidable. So Severine brings a blend of old world classic training with extensive international experience to the South Okanagan. And we are so fortunate to have her. I think I've been aware of your brands and would have been started in 2014 at Legacy Liquor Store in
Okay.
Liberty Wine Merchants at Park Royal. And I think we carried Cuvée Classique or Cuvée Catherine, which is the Syrah that, of course, wins tons of awards. So, but Séverine is a very uncompromising believer in the terroir-driven value of the grapes and how wine is really made in the vineyard. She graduated from the illustrious Soup Agro Montpellier, École nationale supérieure agronomique de Montpellier. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
Earning both a master's in viticulture and enology and national diploma in enology. So before arriving in Canada, she built a very significant international portfolio, working 14 harvests in both France and Australia, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yes.
And wore a few hats in France. But here in British Columbia, she arrived in 2010 and quickly became a leading winemaker, gaining a great deal of attention for the beautiful, delicate, and finessed approach to making wine because the wines were beautiful and would express this. So today she's are you the executive director of Sustainable Wine Growing BC? Is that correct?
I'm the chair
Chair.
of the Sustainable Wine Growing BC.
And we have, they don't make you queen in France, but we have a Knight of the Order of Agricultural Merit from France, and this was awarded in 2023. It's kind of like King Charles taking the sword and like, isn't it?
I know I was hoping the Constitution High would come with a sword and then just do that like in the movie on my shoulders, but yeah, there was just a medal, big medal.
Well, I have a saber. We could try to recreate that.
Yes.
And more recently, in March of 2024, she received the Leadership Excellence Award from Wine Growers British Columbia. So it's a great honor and a privilege for me to have Séverine here, and I really need to have a drink of wine now because that was quite a
Yes.
mouthful.
What do you have
Anyway,
there?
so my beautiful bottle, as
Oh,
recommended, is the 2025. Do you say
Vi
Vi
Viola.
Vila? I was
Yes.
like voila, and then I was like, that's not an O, that's an A, and it's in the
Yeah.
wrong place. So anyway, so
Yeah.
it's a beautiful color, and I was reading somewhere that this is grapes specifically for rosé.
Yeah, so for me, rosé is not a second thought. It's a wine that starts in the vineyard. We're going to grow the grapes to make rosé, meaning that we're going red grapes. So for instance, this one is Pinot Noir, and we're going to tailor the vineyard management to be able to make a rosé. And so we pick a little bit earlier than if we were wanting to make a red. And from that moment on, making a rosé is it's kind of tough because it it's like it's not a white, it's not a red. And so that color is very unstable and very sensitive to oxidation because we don't have the tannins that are in the coming from the extensive maceration of the
Right.
skins to protect from oxidation. And so from that moment, as soon as we pick, we have to be very careful to handle those grapes in a very delicate manner and with lots of protection against oxidation. So we harvest early. We add lots of CO2 in the press, and we let the grapes macerate in the press. And then when we reach that nice color, then we press, and then from there, it's very careful steps to manage that color and keep that color pink.
That color is beautiful.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, onion skin.
mhm.
So where is the vineyard?
So the grapes are coming from a few vineyards. On one is at the foothill at the bottom of the McIntyre Bluff, so that big cliff
Mm.
that no, that starts the South Okanagan.
Delineates. Yep.
Thank you. I'm still French. Sometimes English doesn't come. And and so that geological part really marks the beginning of the South Okanagan. There's a very distinct
Hmm.
weather pattern that is different from there on in the south from what's happening in Ogie Falls or Penticton. It's a lot warmer. It doesn't rain as much. And so vineyard right at the bottom of that, and then a bit of grapes coming from Okanagan Falls, where it's also a little bit cooler than what we have in the south here.
How hard is it to grow Pinot Noir in the Okanagan?
It's it's a finicky grapes because it's like the skins are quite thin, and so like I said, it's we have to pick it for what we make the rosé. We have to pick it quite early, so we have to manage that maturation process
Hmm.
in order to be able to pick maybe mid-September to keep that freshness and natural acidity and alcohol. It's only 12.5%, so we need to be able
Twelve
to
and a half
ripe.
percent. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yes, 12.5%. So
Yeah, if you're
it's
looking for low alcohol, this might
hmm
be the direction that you go. And maybe that's why rosé is becoming so popular. Like where they say, I don't know how you feel about this comment, wine's in decline, but it's like some, but I think it's kind of trading places with others like sparkling wine and rosé, in my view,
hmm
just continue to be popular, continue to be sought after. I actually see white wine becoming more popular
I think
than.
it's the matter of how you drink your
Hmm.
wine. And I think a lot more people like I just came back from we hosted a wine cruise in on the Mediterranean Sea, starting from Barcelona, went to France, and then ended up in Rome, and with my colleague Dave Marchand from LaStella. And we really saw a difference from what we do here. And what people do in Europe is they take the time. They take the time
Mhm.
when it's time to stop for lunch or for dinner. They take the time to sit down, enjoy the food, slow down, and they enjoy a glass of wine at that time. And and it doesn't need to be a bottle of wine. It can just be one or two glass, and but it's savored, it's sipped, it's enjoyed. It people talk about the wine, people talk about what it feels like, and I think that's the way to drink. That's how I learned to drink back when I was in France, and I lost it a little bit here because everything is fast paced. Like um, there's less attention given to the pure and simple joy of life, like enjoying the food and enjoying a good glass of wine.
Mhm.
And I think we need to come back to that. And then once we come back to that, people are going to, and because if you don't overdo it, it's not bad for you. It's actually good. It's good for the sense of community. It's good. Like people feel better when they connect with others. And then when you connect around food, around wine, then you increase that vibrancy between people,
Mhm.
and that's where people feel happy. And so I think wine can be used for that.
I think wine is needed for that. And I
hmm
also really like your point. North America, I don't know, maybe we're influenced by Silicon Valley or all the news around whatever the tech bros are doing, or I don't know. I don't know. We all need to be billionaires, and so we got to work hard. I don't know. But this idea that we would take a leisurely lunch, like how
Mm,
many people sit at their desks and eat while they work?
oh,
Or when they have dinner, it's whatever they can quickly whip up in front of Netflix or, I mean, I really love what you said, like sitting together, sharing a glass, having a dish, and talking about the experience of it.
hmm.
It's
And it
romancing. Yeah,
just catching up, taking the time to catch up and connect with the people that are around you and eating slowly. It's actually better for the health to eat slowly than just
yeah,
put everything in your mouth. And
yeah.
so,
And
yeah.
not eating alone,
Hmm.
around a table with people.
Yes,
That
I
is,
think it's very crucial.
it's
When you
very,
look at the Blue Zone documentary,
yes.
and then people are defining that people will live longer, or people that have a sense of community, they have people around them, they drink a glass of wine per day or two, one at lunch, one at dinner. And it's all because it fosters slowing down, eating better, chewing, communicating with people, connecting, and all that are part of our essential needs as human beings. So,
Mm. I um I do the BC Wine Tasting Challenge, and when I do my introduction, I like to say to people, this is a meditation. We are going
mhm,
to capture the aromas in a glass 5 times before you can move on to tasting it, just so you concentrate or meditate with your eyes closed about what's in the glass. And
mhm.
people are surprised because nobody does that. They'll go like swirl, swirl, drink, like, and they miss kind of the nuances that I
Hmm.
think you especially and other winemakers that I love are working to develop in the wine. It's like the secret song or the special message that's coming through, like I mean, I don't know. How do you,
I
on your
think,
tour, you were encouraging people how to taste and,
yeah, so we when we were in Europe, we did a few, couple of dinners when we had our wine on the ship, and then we also helped facilitate two excursions, one in Provence and then one in the Chianti. And so when we were there, we were helping the guests to understand how
right.
one is made and where it's coming from. But um, what I encourage the staff in the tasting room to talk about is every glass of wine that the guests are coming and tasting, it's that first book of a page that they're turning. And then there's so many more behind. And then there's some in between the lines. And uh, they are opening the book of my story, of the story of people that work the land, the story of what the Okanagan is made of, what the Okanagan was million years ago, a glacier, and then it became that beautiful valley with different lakes, and now it's influenced by the desert that's coming from Mexico, and then give us those high temperatures and cool nights that brings that natural acidity. Like it's not something that we invent. It's coming from the land. It's coming from the climate. It's coming from the terroir, and
Right.
that is what the people are tasting. And a lot of people are unfortunately drinking for the sake of drinking, and then they miss the whole point of being part of the story of somebody.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you enter that book, you start smelling. And then as soon as you start smelling, you go inwards, and then it recalls some things that you may have smelt in another time. And then my then it if you pay attention, it will develop some sensations, some emotions, and maybe some of those emotions, because our subconscious is responding to emotions and imagery. And if we manage to create a positive experience around that, that's how the client is going to come back because he will associate the rosé with a good moment because he will feel happy, he will feel good inside. And so I think wine is so powerful for that because it's there's so many layers. The book is so many pages and we can add as much as we want.
I
I mean,
love
I'm
that.
going on a tangent there,
No, but I love that. Listen,
but
romancing the wine, like, when like, it's just not black and white. It's just not alcohol's good, alcohol's bad. It's just not that.
hmm
Culture, people, food, occasion, celebration, story, place, vintage.
yes, it's it's all in there. And it's if we dig a little bit, it's so beautiful to uncover because a lot of people just drink the wine and just say, okay, well that's good. But they don't know how much work it takes to make that beautiful rosé. They don't know how many decisions we had to scratch our head for and is turn right or turn left and then down the road as well, were we right to turn right? Should we have turned left? Like so many indecisions, so many questions that we
Yeah,
ask ourselves. And in the end, to have that beautiful product in the glass
yeah.
is because the never I've been so this is my 16th harvest in coming up 2026 in the
Yay!
Okanagan. And
It's crazy.
it will be my 30th harvest altogether. So
I'm gonna
it's
bring that sword.
yeah, it's going to be a milestone this year.
Yeah.
And none of the year have been the same since I've been here in
Mm.
Canada. So you
Oh,
can't just say,
oh,
okay, well, last year we picked at this time and then it tasted like this. We're going to do that again. Ah, we can't because we don't have the same summer. We don't have the same heat unit. We don't, some years we have a heat dome. Some years we have a normal summer with normal temperatures and but we have a cold fall or long fall like 2025. 2025 we had about 30 degrees Celsius all the way till beginning of October. A completely different way of maturation where 2016 we had a very cold fall and by September 10 I think it was 15. So
yeah.
anyway,
No, but
so much to say.
when people say, yes, but when people say, does vintage matter? Yes. If it's wine of provenance, vintage matters.
It matters, but that's where the viticulture, and I always go back to the
Yeah.
viticulture. We it's like with a maestro, and
Mhm.
we can conduct how the orchestra is going to go. And so
Mhm.
every year we know what the potentials are for that specific block. For example, the one I'm looking at through my window at Le Vieux Pin, it's the Marsan block. And we can play with how we go conduct the vineyard depending on how the weather is. And so, yes, vintage matters, but I'm not really agreeing in the fact that people say, oh, that's a good vintage and that's a bad vintage.
Oh, mm,
Because we have the ability, so not everybody does it, but we have the ability to conduct the vineyard slightly different in order to achieve somewhat the same result every year. So it's going to taste a bit different because it's not the same here, but we can come to very close results. So unless there is like torrential rain and there's
yeah.
mildew all over the place and that affects the vineyard. But if we manage to keep the vineyard healthy and we have the ability to fine tune what we do so that we can come close to having some kind of balance in the grapes.
It it reminds me of music in an
Mm-hmm.
orchestra. And each time you go to play, a conductor comes to the front. Maybe it's different musicians this time, but they're going to play the same piece.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be a variation, but
Yeah.
it is art. It is artistic. It is craft. It's craftsmanship. Um,
And then we were talking about that this morning with a rep that came and sells some product. And we were saying that no, like if two winemakers at the same block and we both going to go in there, we both have different DNA, we both have different sensitivity and experience. And so we will find a different time of picking because the way I taste my Marsanne is not the same way that Paul or Jack or whatever will taste the Marsanne. And from there, it's going to be a different wine because it's picked at a different time. And then whatever we're going to do during winemaking, because we're going to taste differently, is going to be, so at the end, it's going to be a different wine. So every piece of wine, doesn't matter who is making it, is it's unique piece of art that is made with something that is coming from nature. And that's so there's no real competition because there's
not
competition
when,
in things that you can compare. And
you
then
know, the thing is, like, one of the great opportunities we have with BC wine is that it's so new and so fresh and so young on the scale. There's lots of producers that really don't know what to charge. They kind of look around the neighborhood to see what other people are charging. And it's like, how would you set the price for this masterpiece? Like
mhm,
if you take that lens and you say, well, each bottle represents some version of this priceless work of art because it's only coming around this year, it's only coming around this time, you know,
yeah.
how would you structure price? Because you could say, and I mean, I've seen it as a buyer, what is the price point? And it's like, well, yes, that does factor into a competitive landscape, but that isn't alone how we decide on the wine we're going to choose or the wine we're going to consume or the wine we're going to cellar. It just
Mhm.
it's not a singular one thing decides the entire
No, because there's
choice.
so many factors. Like
Yeah.
let alone the last two vintages, well,
Oh,
23 and 24, when we had no grapes because of the climate events. Well, the consequences of that 56 hours on January 12 to 14, 2024 is going to have ripple effect all the way till 2030, I figured. So, um, six
were,
years to
were you
recover.
crying? Were you crying? Were you,
It
how were you?
it affected me, and I think it left a very deep, deep scar, and it won't go away.
No. It's kind of like we met online once before during COVID. It was just after COVID, maybe. And
Hmm.
we were doing, I was trying to figure out how to help sell wine, and it was kind of abundant. Everybody was selling wine. It was like,
Yes.
but anyway, it was a totally different circumstance that we were struggling. It wasn't necessarily crisis in the vineyard. It was crisis socially, like
Hmm.
the ability to get together, and we still wanted to get together in some way, shape, or form. Um, but I think the devastation of December 2022 and then January 2024 has left its mark permanently,
Hmm.
permanently. And yeah, uh, I'm not sure how we shape that story going forward or how that becomes a lesson or
I think the lesson is we learn farming. We know that farming is a gamble. We know that. Like we talk to any farmers in the world, they all say,
yep.
well, we have good years, we have bad years. So we need to get prepared for the bad years and then we recover in the good years. And that's totally true. And that's what we did in 2025 when we had an abundant harvest.
Oh my
But
God, so much wine, so many grapes. I mean,
yes, but I think the lesson from 2024 in it is that um, we learned to pay better attention to to the people that are working, because in that moment when that happened, nobody really talked about it. because everybody was scared, but everybody wondered,
Everybody could feel it.
shit, am I going to have a job?
Yeah.
Everybody, not just the people in the winery or in the vineyard,
Nope.
but the people in the valley, the tourism, in the people selling, the suppliers, selling
Yeah.
the corks, the barrels, the bottles, the everybody coming and says, how much wine are you going to make? How much? And then everybody was questions like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And the people suffered. And I think after 2024, there was a lot bigger awareness about what do we need to do to, to make sure that the people that are working the land, that are making the wines, that are contributing to the economy of the valley, whether
Yeah.
it's the tourism, the hotel, the restaurants, the golf industry, the ski industry, all that, like it's all linked. We all work
It's
together as a
all
very
linked.
mm, tight mesh,
Yeah.
and in because if we don't have the people, we have nothing.
Yeah.
So I
So
think, yeah.
we talk about climate crisis
Mm-hmm.
and our pivot for the last decade at least has been around sustainable
Mm-hmm.
farming, regenerative farming, organic farming, salmon safe farming. There's like a gajillion, not a good, I'm exaggerating, but there seems to be a number of approaches. And I'm curious, given your work with sustainable wine growers of British Columbia, is there a lens that we should be looking through to say, I think we might have some things figured out for the next time? Or, I mean, will the next time even be the same? Likely not, but
So I'm going to say one of the reason that our operation survived the storm of 23 and 24 is because we were sustainable certified. Because what happened, the standard, whether it's for the winery or the vineyards, they're very thorough. And when we built them, we looked at whatever was done around the world and we adapted. We took a little bit of piece from everywhere and we adapted to the Okanagan in British Columbia. And what happened when you get certified is that you have to look at your operation with the magnifying glass. You have to know what you're doing. You have to have some records. You have to understand what you're doing, and you have to show that you're doing what you're saying you do.
hmm,
And because we did that, we had a very good understanding of how we were functioning. We knew where the costs were. We knew the protocols, the systems. And so if we had to rethink something to maybe lower down the cost to save money and allocate money somewhere else, it was a quick, easy find.
right.
It was easy to do. And I think a lot of people have understood this, and I think the program is taking momentum. There's a lot of work that's done in the vineyard first, because one of the mandatory, the essential criteria to become certified winery is to have 50% of your input that are coming from certified vineyards. So we're in the process of making the certification for the vineyards a little bit more streamlined because it's a lot of work. It's about 100 hours in total to do that. So we're breaking it down into a 3-year chunk so that you tackle all those 100 hours over the next 3 years. But if more and more vineyards are becoming certified, then it's going to be a lot easier for wineries to source some certified grapes, then become certified as a winery. And I think there's a lot more demand from the consumer. I just recently we sell a little bit of wine in Quebec, and our agent in Quebec has sent us an email saying that the SAQ wants to privilege
Mm.
growers, producers that have a certification in some kind of sustainable program. And so I just sent yesterday the certificate for the
Oh,
wineries in the vineyard. And
wonderful.
So that I think if there is a demand from big monopole like the SAQ, and I think the
Yep.
system Bolaget in Sweden is doing the same thing.
Yes.
And I think a lot of consumers are becoming more aware because a lot of retailers are talking about it and and and
Well,
understanding how it's working. And I think that's going to make a big momentum.
yeah. So so have you heard of Porto Protocol?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I participate in a lot of their online presentations, and in Europe, there's a lot of talk about bottle weight. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of talk about water. And I think water here, like we're looking around now and it's like early June and it's very dry, very dry. And May looked like July. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So are there specifics like do you have water? Are you collecting water at the winery? And
So we in the Okanagan Valley, because of its weather, it's like a desert. So we have
yep.
very little amount of water aside from the torrential rain that happened on May 29 in the south here. I don't know if it was the same in Kelowna, but it was a lot of water in a few hours. But what we do is we help people manage the use of the water better. So what we've
Mm,
done is we've talked about irrigation and the type of irrigation. So drip irrigation is 90% efficient versus overhead irrigation, where you
right,
lose 50% of the water during
right.
by evaporation. We're also developing the knowledge around understanding the soils. So what's underneath the vine, how the soil is going to absorb that water. What's the texture of the soil? Well, how is the soil deep? What's
Mm,
the architecture of the roots around there? Is the plant able to grab that water right away, or is the soil retaining some water, or is the water going down? So what we have moisture probe. Last year we installed automatic irrigation valves. So
mm,
we're able to irrigate at night. We're able to irrigate also by flow. So if we know the flow and the amount of plants that we have, then we can say, and we want a certain amount of liters per plant, then we can just program that. And so it's streamlining. It's forcing the grower to understand better how the water is used,
mm,
and by that understanding, then we can manage. Some blocks will need more water, but some
mhm,
blocks don't need as much water. And so
mhm,
we are saving the water that way.
mm. Technology is helpful.
Technology is very helpful, and we still need the human component,
Yeah.
but I think the use of AI and the use of
Mm,
the knowledge that we've accumulated, and then we
mhm,
can use the knowledge like we working. There's a lot of company coming from France that have knowledge because they've been
right.
working on that for a lot longer, and then partnering with some people in the States, there's a lot of community and a lot of sharing and a lot of work together that's happening to understand how we can manage that water better in terms of
Right.
at the micro scale of the plant
Right.
itself.
Right. Did you have to replant after?
We did replant. Unfortunately, the Syrah that was at Le
Mm,
Vieux Pin Vineyard on Black Sage
mm,
Bench, because it's the highest vineyard. It's a plateau, so the cold air kind of stayed there, and it's a 400 meter altitude plateau. So the Syrah, they survived the 2023 winter. They grew a little bit, but then the 24 just like that was it. So it was some plants survived, but by the time it was not economic to keep the block, so we just removed that Syrah. We planted Cabernet Franc, which is a bit more resistant, and then we had a bit of a empty block in the south where Osoyoos turned out to be a slightly bit warmer, and that 1 Celsius difference made the whole difference. And so we replanted Syrah in the south. So we haven't forgotten about Syrah.
yay.
We keep the Syrah so that we can keep doing the Syrah Cuvée Violette
It's so fantastic.
and
Uh,
yes.
yeah, it's so fantastic. Well, sounds like I say to people, technology has, like when people get a little bit frustrated with new technology or we're sitting around a table and we're tasting wine, I just like to remind them that, we keep moving forward and we're very grateful for technology in the wine industry in making and in tending vines. As subtle or small as some of these initiatives are, they're super helpful because your intelligence around a vine. I mean, this is where legacy growers were walking encyclopedias. You needed to keep them around, and I'm
Hmm.
not saying you don't, but today we have probes and we've got ways to kind of do these assessments, which gives us more information than we had before. And you can make really good decisions. You've got good information. Data is
Yeah,
helpful. And then your
totally.
creativity and your craft and all of your, knowledge and wisdom then is applied and then we have, beautiful bottles like this.
Yes.
Did you sip
Cheers.
yours? Yes.
No, not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. It's
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 very
per it's perfumed.
hmm
It's like strawberries and
hmm
it's like a sweet rose petal note and
And it's dry, like there's no residual sugar at
super
all.
dry.
Hmm.
Well, I also was reading on the label. So your labels are awesome for
Thank
bottles
you.
for anyone who hasn't seen these before, but it gives you technical information that you might want to know. And as a wine, as a wine weirdo, I always want to know all of this. But I just love that there's 1,150 cases of this wine in and around the world. And this just was released, was it not?
It was just released and we were just looking at inventory and it's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yes.
the season is now. The season is rosé season. In fact, I was like looking at my schedule and I'm like, well, I think I'm going to have to do a few rosé sessions of BC versus Provence. How do we do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been lovely chatting. Um, you know, in your role, you have people working for you and with you, and you also have your growing family. I think your kids are graduating from high school now, are they? Am I close?
Ava is just graduating this year, and Achille is graduated and working. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they going to be in the vineyard and in the winery as well? Or are they finding a new path?
No, they're finding their own paths. I think they saw them. I'm working way too hard. It's just like, no way, it's not for me.
We see how hard mom works. Yeah. Yeah, it is a labor of love, isn't it? Would you say it's like, at a certain age and stage, you're kind of like, why? Like, this isn't, I don't do this for the money. I do this because I just love wine and I love the story of wine and I love the story of the people in wine. And I, like you, I love the table and I love the sitting around it and exploring and talking about what is it we're sipping and what are the
Hmm.
special notes that we find and feel and how, you know, my kids don't drink. Don't bring wine, mom. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, I think like we go back to the first topic we were talking, we mentioned this today is people
Yeah.
don't realize how hard it is to make a bottle of wine
Yeah.
and the long hours during harvest and then I'm not complaining. I'm just not, but it's it it takes a toll. Like for 3 months of your whole life, you don't do anything. You work 67 days a week, 12 hours a day. And it takes a toll on the body, on the mind, and on the family. Like my kids don't see me from September till December. And it's hard as a human. And
Mhm.
so it's
It's extreme, like the climate.
mhm. It's a passion. You have to be passionate and you have to
This
be able
is,
to find a joy in every day. And it is joyful. Like the simple fact that when I go walk in the vineyard and I taste those berries and I can imagine
Mhm.
already I can all the different aromas and texture are popping in my brain and it's just okay, I can make this with that, I can make that with this and then the joy of creating is it's
Mhm.
creation. And then that turns into making the wine and then blending. It says, okay, well, when we taste and then we say, okay, well, we can take 10% of this and 30% of that, and we're going to make this beautiful, rich, silky tannin Syrah cuvée violette. And then that's something that people, and then you can imagine the people smelling it and tasting it and smiling, and you make people happy. So,
You make people happy.
yes,
You make people happy. You make yourself happy. And I also see immediately the creativity that just sparks when you think of these things. And I have a friend, she sees color when she tastes wine. And I'm always curious, when you taste, do you see something like what comes to you is in here? Because I have music sometimes. I
so from
mostly
I
close
have a
my
very
eyes and
good
disappear, but
Yeah, very good visual. So I when I do the Syrah Cuvée Violette, for me the silky tannins and then the
mm,
beautiful robe of the wine and it's an elegant lady walking on a Chanel or Christian Dior runway and then just presenting and then just walking and it's the the charming, the elegance and the perfection of the
perfection.
silkiness of the
The perfection of a goddess of wine.
yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
So we have these bottles available in Kelowna, but I'm assuming they're in Vancouver. Do you have a wine club who will be receiving these? How are we
Yes.
distributing? Yes, so everybody.
So the wineries are open 7 days a week, both Le Vieux
Mhm.
Pin LaStella from 10 to 5. We have a very uh, user-friendly online platform where you can, with a few clicks, purchase wine and it can be delivered to your door. We are available in liquor stores in Kelowna, West Kelowna, Vancouver, probably Penticton soon, and then if you're out of province, there's also some in at the SAQ and
Yes.
LCBO. And so, yes, we are making our way over there. So that's good.
Yes. Yes, yes, it is good. And for anyone who hasn't tried Cuvée Violette or Cuvée Classique, Syrah, these are
Hmm.
beautiful wines. I'm, I remember it was, you would probably remember this as well. During COVID, I think it was the Boulevard, did a meal. So you went to the Sutton Place, to the
Hmm.
Boulevard, and you picked up your box. And there were 9 bottles of wine in the box and 3 courses. And we were given instruction on how to cook and what wines went with each dish. And I made set the table and I used the best of everything, and we had 9 glasses on the table and then we had our iPads on and we listened to Anthony Gismondi and Curtis Colt and the chef discussing the dishes and the wines. And I remember opening up, I think it was Cuvée, it was one of them. And I remember tasting it and I remember thinking it was a short rib sous vide.
Hmm.
And well, first of all, you can't drink 9 bottles of wine if there's just 2 people there. Like, and
Yes.
I'm not a big consumer like that. I like to taste and, like you
Hmm.
said, think and contemplate. Anyway, the point was, I put in the decanter on the counter the remaining 3/4 of a bottle of Syrah, and I covered it with a paper towel. And 24 hours later, that wine was something else. And oh my God, I was so excited. I was like, wow, like, I always had the philosophy of you just open up a bottle and you just taste it as you go. And you have a glass now and you have a glass later. But like this was like profound how the wine suddenly became like just bigger and more and elegant and plush and but acidity and freshness and it was like, oh my God, this is wine to remember. And after that, and this was like 2000, what, 2020 maybe? 2021.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that, it was like I'm a convert. And anytime ever anyone ever asked me about, oh, can Syrah age? And like, because Shiraz,
Yeah.
give it 5 years or whatever. But I'm like, yes, hello. And if you don't have time, put it on the counter for 24 hours and you'll have something amazing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It's I think it's the beauty of our Okanagan Valley and the climate that we have, the soil first, the more sandy soil and then the climate. We have something special in here,
yeah.
and the wines are able to age very nicely. Like you said, the matrix, the tannins, and the natural acidity and all that evolves. Like the fact that it reminds me when you said that, it reminds me of the book that keeps growing and then you're turning the page and then every page is new, something new because
The
it's
discovery.
smelling, the discovery
Yes.
of something different. And we did 2 years ago, we did a vertical tasting of the Syrah Classique. So we went from 2008, which was the first one, to 2018. And it was absolutely fantastic.
Stunning. Stunning.
They were all showing, they were all
Yeah.
different, showing differently, of course.
Yes.
But the 2008 was still vibrant and still fruity and could have stayed in the bottle for another 2, 3 years, easy.
Well, what I think I remember most distinctly was the harmonious character, the all the elements. It was so seamless. And when we do the BC Wine Tasting Challenge, we use Stephen Spurrier's Judgment in Paris 20-point score system. And I teach everyone, and the idea is that they'll use this in their personal life, but 5 points for appearance, 5 points for palate, 5 points for nose, and then 5 points for harmony. And
Mhm.
it's like when you find these wines that just are incredibly polished and every part of it is delivering some complexity and telling the story of, I don't know, all the things that come up, like earth and sun and, like
Mhm.
sparkle. And anyway, it got a 20 out of 20 from me on
Okay.
that particular.
Good.
Anyway, please don't let the verticals go by. If you ever do that again, I will be sleeping over in the parking lot.
Okay. Noted.
Okay, so 30, I think it was $38 a bottle at Metro Liquor for this. You can get it online. Join the wine club. Do I'm assuming you
Yeah,
do.
we do
And
have a wine
it
club.
must be a
Yes.
fantastic club. And you probably have a newsletter and you probably have social media. So follow on Instagram, you
Yes, we
know.
have I think it's at Le Vieux Pin all attached in and at La Stella.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And that's a great way to be a friend and to learn. So I always
Hmm.
encourage people, get online, be social, celebrate Syrah Day. I don't actually remember when that's coming up. But anyway, the point being, Séverine, we have so much to talk about. I think we will have to do this again, but I
Um,
have so appreciated your time. Thank you for sharing this beautiful rosé as we kick off June. And, rosé for me is a year-round style. So I'm super appreciative of this. It's just lovely. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you
And
so much for having me.
we'll catch you soon.
Okay, sounds
Take
good.
care.
Bye.
Bye.